How much more enthusiastic can you be, unless by being in God, just filled with positive vigor, not to the point of not to the point of being incapacitated or incapacitated, being to the point of being actually verklempt, but really overflowing with joy. This is what I'm trying to bring as a club coach. It's important to have enthusiasm in as a coach. What we've done is what we've done in the club is to try to generate inspiration. We've had Peggy Hill and Susie Proctor as our guest speakers to give inspirational presentations. But as a District 77 Club Quality Chair, it is my privilege to look for quality presenters to give presentations to the coaches district-wide. We do this every Monday. What I've done is bring the knowledge that I've learned from that to the club coach, to the club and to the officers' meetings to try to inspire the coach, give inspiration to our meetings. One way that I felt a good way to do this is to work specifically to bring our club, the coaches, to bring the clubs to distinguished club status. Why is that important? That's important for a variety of reasons. The distinguished club status is not just a title. The club is comprised of members. The members work together as a unit to bring a club to a certain educational level. But each member contributes to that individually. And in doing so, each member builds their communication and leadership skills to the point where they can assume roles during the meetings and also hopefully club officer roles later on. Now, as the I have written up documentation on the club coaching on each session that have been given replays in the district website. I've documented those on paper, hard copy, and sent them to the coaches and to the club presidents. And I brought that information to the clubs so that we can build upon that and have a basis of enthusiasm with which to continue to develop our distinguished club plan. We're getting very close to achieving this distinguished club with regard to educational achievement. We've got 3 of 5 goals. Very shortly, we'll have a 4th goal. And I'm very confident we'll have at least 5 goals well before the June 30th. But I'm currently working to build enthusiasm within the club coach cadre itself. I'm working as a part of a high performance leadership project that I just completed. I had the privilege of having 2 members on my action team, Jessica Silhobby, who's the incoming district director, and Randy Cooper, who is a past district director. We've been working together to put together ways to instill incentives in coaching, and also work on ways to build methods for coaching. But in any case, it's important to maintain this level of enthusiasm. And I'm looking forward to next week. I'll be introducing a high performance project within the club itself. I'll have more to say about that at a presentation next week. But regarding this succession plan, it's very difficult what part of the project is to build a leadership, a club succession plan. But that's really difficult to do because it's not up to the club coach for two reasons. It's not up for the club coach to label a successor. That's some of the district. And the second reason is hopefully you won't need a coach. So my job will be no longer be necessary. But in any case, it's important to lead with enthusiasm. It's important to lead by example. And I'm endeavoring constantly, whether it being within the club or within the meetings of the officers meeting, to instill enthusiasm, to spread the benefits of Toastmasters to others, so that others can learn the benefits of Toastmasters. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you there, Wes. And now at this time, since we don't have another prepared speech, we will move on to our table topics. And our table topics master for this evening will be Donovan. Take it away, Donovan.
Thank you, Maurice, and everybody. Tonight, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna ask for a volunteer, and then I'll ask you the question. Who would like to volunteer first? Okay, Josh. Your question is, okay, what would the title of your autobiography be? Why?
Okay, good question, Donovan. The title of my autobiography would be Trying Hard, Really Trying Hard. Why it would be that is I try really hard in everything I do, try to stay disciplined, work hard, grind things out. Nothing ever really comes easy. Just stick to it, and I finally make it to where my end goal lies.
Thank you, Josh. Who would like to volunteer next? Okay, Woody. Your question is, okay, what's your earliest memory? Why?
Can you say that one more time, please?
What's your earliest memory?
My earliest memory?
Yes, and why?
Okay, I have a memory where I can remember things going all the way back to 4 years old, believe it or not. My earliest memory, some people can do that. Other people have no memory of their childhood at all, or in their early childhood years. But we were brought up in a neighborhood called Navco. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of that. It's over towards, well, almost towards town in Mobile. We were brought up in that neighborhood, and my mother worked a lot. And I had this great grandmother who was devoutly religious, extremely religious. And she used to read the Bible to us when we were children. And from a very early age, she instilled in all of her great grandchildren a respect for the Bible and reading the Bible and living on the terms of the Bible. And so she had a great influence over me, as well as my sisters and everyone in our family. So she actually lived in public housing. So even though it wasn't really a nice neighborhood, she was a wonderful person, and we got by, and she taught us everything, or basically gave me my fundamental understanding of Christianity and what it means to be a good person. So that is basically my earliest memory of that whole experience. That's, and lives with me today. So anyway, so that would be my earliest memory, and I'll now relinquish the podium back to you.
Thank you, Roddy. That was very full of verklempt. Who would like to volunteer next? Okay, Maurice. Actually, I just picked one that suits you. So your question is, what is your most used emoji? Why?
Say it one more time.
What is your most used emoji? Why, and what is your favorite?
Your most used emoji.
Oh, wow.
Emoji. You're going to tell us some of your business, Maurice. Let us hear it.
Okay, fellow Toastmasters and fellow Toastmasters. My most used emoji, believe it or not, is just a standard smiley face. I've used others, but in my texts and in social media, I'll use the standard smiley face, even though some of my comments with the emoji would call for a laughing out loud crying emoji. I've used those too, but I don't usually use, well, most of the time I don't use a verklempt emoji, meaning a emoji expressing being overcome with emotion. So once again, my most used emoji is just a standard smiley face. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Maurice. Who would like to volunteer next? Okay, Olivia.
Go ahead.
Right to Carrie. So I heard that you talked about traditions. So your question for tonight is, what's your favorite family tradition? Why?
What's my favorite family tradition and why? Is my question, fellow Toastmasters and Toastmasters. And as I ponder that question for just a second, I think of the one that makes me smile the most. And that is that in my house, we all cherish our dinner time, family time at the table. And my son, who is staying with me for a short period of time, is my oldest, and he's 26. And to this day, he still takes his phone, puts it in his room. Of course, I'm required to do the same, and we sit down and we enjoy dinner together as a family. So that doesn't mean a lot in the big scheme of things. And there are all sorts of traditions that we have in addition to that one. But that is one of the ones that makes me smile the most, because it's one of the things that was instilled by my parents to me, and I passed on that tradition to my children, the importance of communication. Just being able to sit down and have a conversation. And we're Southern, so what other way to do it than over a good home cooked meal? Sometimes it's not home cooked, but you know, it's a meal nonetheless. So if I had to say what is my most cherished tradition, it would be the sacredness of having family time at the dinner table. Back to you, table topics master.
Thank you, Olivia. We have time for one more question, I believe. So my last question is going to go to Carrie, actually. Your question is, what made you smile recently? Why?
What made me smile recently? That's my question. I always smile. Smile face is my default. Nothing happened to me, but still smile. And I love that way. Recently, because of the Ukraine crisis, I often hear about Ukraine culture, Russian cultures. Just natural. I see my YouTube video coming out talk about that something general culture in Ukraine or Russia, not really related to politics. Sometimes I wonder why. But one Russian YouTuber said a lot of people asked him why Russian people always poker face, because nothing really funny. That's what he said. But that's a kind of culture, they said. But my culture, well, that's in me, they smile is always default. Nothing really funny was make me smile, but probably that's my muscle memory. And actually, nothing really funny was smiley or happy, but living this moment is such a happy, we have peaceful environment. I have a food, I have a sheltered warm blanket. Actually, it's hot today, so I have an AC. And does this make me smile, happy. My smile is nothing really happened, nothing make me, just the living stuff make me happy. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm going to go ahead. Tonight was a great session for the table topics. I thought it went well, and all of y'all's responses were very well clamped in a way that intrigued me, but also it made people to engage and also to be interested in what y'all had to say. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and relinquish the lectern back to the Toastmaster, I believe.
All right, thank you, Donovan. At this time, we'll go into the third portion of our meeting, which is the evaluation period. And our general evaluator for tonight will be Josh. Take it away, Josh.
All right, hey everybody, fellow Toastmasters. Tonight I will serve as the general evaluator. Word of the day is verklempt, which means overcome with emotion. Starting off the meeting, Olivia gave the invocation and stressed what she and I were discussing before the meeting, that all things work together. So true. We can't forget that. Gave the Pledge of Allegiance, acknowledged no club business. Carrie went over that she finished third place in the district competition. Maurice served as the Toastmaster for the evening. Carrie's the timer. Olivia serves as the grammarian, and Donovan was the table topics master. Wesley Hillstrom gave a great prepared speech on how to lead with enthusiasm. Now, lectern back to you, Mr. Maurice.
Josh, you also need to call on your team of officers that had roles. So for example, you'll call on your timer, your grammarian, all those roles, so we can give you our evaluation. And also we have a prepared evaluation for our prepared speech. So that'll be the one you call up first, your prepared speech evaluation.
Okay. Up next is the prepared speech evaluator.
That's me. I had the honor of giving a prepared evaluation, a prepared speech evaluation for Wes. The title of his speech was An Opportunity to Lead, Club Coaching, an Opportunity to Lead with Enthusiasm. Wes, no one should ever question what your passions are, what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what your goals are when it comes to Toastmaster. And I think also when it comes to your relationships as a whole, especially that your spiritual side. So we thank you for being transparent in that portion of your life, of your existence. In this speech, you excelled at, I put down that you excelled at speaking from the heart with enthusiasm and with passion. You also defined the word enthusiasm, which was real good, that you gave a definition of what the word enthusiasm meant and the root of the word. So I like that as well. Thank you for that, because when we get that definition, even though we know the definition of a book, we know the definition of a pencil or a pen, but sometimes when you just get the definition, when it's written, when it's spelled out for you, it gives you that opportunity to let it sink in for a minute. Not only does the title do that, but also those defining moments when you define those words. I put for you, you may want to work on, I put, if this had been a truly prepared speech, I would say that your transition from one topic to the next was not as seamless as it usually is. But you explained to us that this was sort of a prepared, also pocket speech because of all the things that you have endured today, a lot of traveling, doctor's appointments. So for that, I said, thank you for even going through with the speech and giving it a great effort and enthusiasm. So that, like I said, if this was truly a prepared speech, I think that your transitions were not as seamless as they usually are. For clarity, I gave you a 4, vocal variety, a 3, eye contact, I gave you a 4, audience awareness, a 4, comfort level, a 3, interest, I found your speech very interesting. More, not so much just what the topic was about, but just hearing you say it and knowing those passions. When someone is excited or happy about what they're talking about, it makes it so much more interesting, and it allows you to I guess feed off of that passion or off of that energy. And your topic, I also gave you a 4. It was very inspirational. You gave examples of how you work to make your club distinguished. So we thank you for your speech and for all that you do for Toastmasters. Back to you, Josh, General Evaluator.
Thanks so much, Olivia. All right, now let's go to our timer, Carrie.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Let's start with the West, your prepared speech, 8 minutes and 26 seconds. Josh, your table topic speech, 33 seconds. Woody, 1 minute and 41 seconds. Maurice, 1 minute and 7 seconds. Olivia, your evaluation, 3 minutes and 15 seconds. And your table topic speech, 1 minute and 33 seconds. Carrie, myself, 1 minute and 33 seconds. Back to you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Carrie. Now to you, Maurice, our Toastmaster for the evening.
One more. Come back to me for your table. I'm sorry. for the grammarian report and the all counters. So I'll come back to the lectern for that real quick. And I just want to put this in because I think it was a perfect opportunity to use the word verklempt. So I was verklempt with your response, Carrie, to your table topics master, because it sounded just like something I would say. If for me, I would have to define a time when I was not smiling, because otherwise I generally wear a smile all the time. It's something about it. And I read, as a matter of fact, one of the speeches that I did not too long ago, and I don't want to misquote, but in the speech, I quoted a person for saying, sometimes you smile because of the source of your happiness, but sometimes your smile is the source of your happiness. Nothing else. Everything else can just be chaotic, like Josh and I were saying, just another manic Monday, but your smile can still be the source of your happiness. So thank you so much for that, Carrie. I enjoyed all of the table topics portion. As far as misuse of the English word, there was none. Woody, Josh, Maurice, Olivia, Carrie, and Wes, on your speech, we all did a good job on that. Wes, I counted 4 for you, which is very uncustomary for you. So again, I think it was just when you were trying to transition, we could tell that you were not using any notes. This was all things that you were saying to us about being an effective coach, but they were more coming from the heart than they were from a set of prepared notes. So you did have 4 there. Woody, Josh, Maurice, and myself, and Carrie, I did not catch any during our table topics portion. As I was giving my evaluation to Wes, I did catch 1 start to slip out, so I gave myself 1 for that. But again, this has been a great meeting, and I will pass it back to you, General Evaluator, so you can give it to the Toastmaster Maurice.
Thanks so much, Olivia. Great meeting. Now we're going to send it back to our Toastmaster, Maurice Heidelberg.
Thank you. Is there an educational overview for tonight?
Yes, we actually have one. Donovan, are you ready? Okay. Donovan is going to give us our education overview. While we wait on that, I don't think we have any awards tonight, do we? All right, go ahead, Donovan.
Thank you. The COVID-19 pandemic has significantly slowed our fast-paced society, and we need to find opportunities among the unfamiliar. During this time of social distancing, we must accept our current uncontrollable circumstances, focus, and make the most of how we spend our newfound free time. Although we may not be able to gather in groups at large, we can still hone in on the connections we make with the people in our own homes. This is our chance to dive more in depth in a quick hi and bye, polite pleasantries that have inadvertently overwhelmed our relationships. This is the moment to seek substance and advance the quality of our associations, like Toastmasters, for example. In the spirit of fighting normalcy and getting to know one another again. Below, you will find a list of dinner table questions to cater to your curiosities. These questions are geared to push you away from the automatic answers that we've grown accustomed to, and consequently pull you closer together. And in some way, it's basically how making connections kind of helps our ability to actually function in the world of the unknown. Since COVID has started, I know it's kind of a iffy subject, but there are all times that you can't really do stuff because you're trying to social distance or you're trying to prevent yourself to be and to get sick and to protect the elderly. I just thought this is an important thing to learn about, and I hope that you have gained some knowledge of this to use in your own life as a motivation to do things, just like being involved in Toastmasters in an online setting. Thank you. That was my educational overview for the night.
Thank you, Donovan. And just a brief word on COVID today. If you hadn't seen it in the news or on the internet, the city of Shanghai, China, was on a serious lockdown. And I remember the lockdowns that we had during COVID. But Shanghai has a population of a little bit over 26 million. And I heard that they had like 40 something cases. It could be a little more than that of COVID. So to me, it is a pun intended, but no pun intended at the same time. But they're being shanghaied. But I will go ahead and relinquish the lectern back to the president.
Thank you, Maurice. We're being shanghaied. And yeah, Maurice is silly, but so thank you for making that a lighter note. But on a serious note, China has been on a complete lockdown. This is actually their second one. They had one that started in March, and it was supposed to end in March, and then it didn't end until April the 15th. But let me tell you how different the culture is in some of these Eastern regions. So one of our vendors, of course, most of you know that I'm in aviation. So one of our vendors, our suppliers, knows the constraints and the deadlines that we are up against. And I'm sure they have the same with other customers as well. So during this lockdown, they stayed at work, guys, for 20 days. They never left work for 20 days. Now, I'm sure someone was bringing them food and clothes and and I don't know if they made some makeshift beds on the floor or what have you, but it just says a lot for the culture and just the differences. I mean, you listen to some different cultures would have been like, are you crazy? I ain't staying at work for no 20 days. I may quarantine at home, but I'm not quarantining no job or something like that, but they stayed at work for at least, or at the time they had been there 20 days nonstop, just staying at work. So my hat's off to China. I have a newfound respect for them for that. Does anybody else have anything before we wrap up? Donovan, thank you for your education overview. And I liked how you brought it back and you said like Toastmasters, saying that or reiterating that, yes, COVID was a worldwide thing and it had a worldwide effect on us all, but there were some things that occurred or that we had to occur. We had to learn those new norms, and Toastmaster was one of them. And that's one thing I applaud this team about, the Hilltoppers, and that is their perseverance. We have persevered through it all. Yes, we may have lost one or two along the way, but as a whole, this club has not closed the virtual doors, not 1 week, unless it was scheduled. But not 1 week has the doors been closed, and we are not distinguished as of today, but we are still in functioning, operating clubs. So for that, I pat us all on the back. Okay, we have a few minutes left, and I see Mr. West has his hand up, so take the floor. Yeah, you're on West mute. I mean, you're on West mute. You're on mute, West.
Yeah. Yeah. This is, sometimes you step up to the plate and you make a home run. Sometimes you step up to the plate and you don't. But the key is you have to step up to the plate and do your best. I personally I could have done better in that speech, but at least I got my points across to some degree. But they'll be covered again. I'm giving a presentation next week. Much of the same ground will be covered. I'm happy to say that I completed an HPL project just this Friday. It's completed. But there's a mini HPL project that I have to do as a level 5 project. So that's what I'll be doing here. And as I say, in that presentation, much of the same ground will be covered. But no excuses. But I tell you what, this when you're sitting in a doctor's office for 3 hours, you cannot practice your speech. There's a daggum thing you can do. And the doctor's office is a good hour and 15 minutes away from where you live. So it's an hour and a half travel time. So there wasn't a lot of practice time, but but I'm not giving excuses. I'm just giving reasons. Again, sometimes you just have to step to the plate and do the best you can for the team. But yeah, I'll have. Incidentally, if you look at our dashboard, we have 3 of 5 goals. We will have a 4th goal within a few weeks, and I'm sure we'll have at least 5. So education, in terms of education points, we're doing very well. But in order to get distinguished club status, we have to increase the membership. I'll be covering ways in which I believe that can be accomplished. But again, it's a team effort, and you can count on me to do my absolute best to work for the team. Have a great week.
Thank you, Wes, for always giving us those final words of encouragement. It is a group effort, and I'm going to keep doing my part. Oh, we did have 2 new prospects that Maurice already responded to them in email, and I did not reach out to them today via phone, but I will tomorrow. So we'll cross our fingers on those 2, and hopefully they will show up. Are these people that you invited personally, Maurice, or did they just stumble upon the website?
They responded to the website, but one is a former member. One of
Okay.
Is a former member of Hilltoppers.
Okay, great. All right, guys, we're getting out of here a few minutes early, but I don't object to that if no one else does. And if all minds are clear, oh, I got Woody, and then Wes will close out with you. Mr. Woody, give us what you got. Were you getting ready to say? Oh, you were waving by. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to stop recording at this time.